Okay, so as you're coming down to your backs, and you're starting to nestle in, burrow down. Notice where your breath is right now, as far as the quality. I like to measure the cadence or the speed of my breath, usually when I'm trying to notice how I'm feeling. Your breath tends to tell you a lot about how your day went, how your evening's going, and if we want to shift ourselves a little bit more towards the restive state, then we can suggest to our breath that it slow down, that the exhales lengthen. Or you can simply just notice it, just pay attention. If this is the first time that you have focused on your breath today, then just see how it's doing overall in general. Could be measuring where it's filling up inside your torso. Maybe you're noticing parts of your chest or back or sides that are moving with your inhales, or spaces that aren't moving quite so well. I like to listen also to the actual sound of my breathing as it's kind of coming down our throats and back up from the lungs. Is it a little whisper? Is it sound heavy? You can measure these fine qualities when you're in these restorative states against moments throughout your day and really get a cue to how your environment, your stress, whether you drank enough fluids or ate your lunch quickly or nice and slowly, all those things add up and affect our breathing. And sometimes it's nice to just notice, oh, maybe I should take a moment to simmer down, to focus on my breathing right in the middle of your day, no matter where you are. Nobody knows you're doing it. You could be at your desk. And if you're long legged, then you're going to bend your knees and bring your feet to the mat. And you're going to start some windshield wipers so that your knees fall left and right. And you start adding a little twist to anywhere from your tailbone to your low back or middle back. If you want to get a little bit higher up into your spine, you might need to move your arms or your neck or shift deeper into your twist. It's always nice to start with a slow left and right, grounded with the feet left and right, but feel free to play around with where your feet are placed or whether they're on the ground or not. You could have your knees tucked in towards your chest with your rock side to side. Just some options. And if anything else for the hips or low back pops into your mind to do, like rocking knees to chest or staying planted left or right with your twist. And then settle your feet back onto the mat so that they're planted down and your knees are bent again. And you're going to take one of your legs, so maybe right leg, and you're going to start moving into your hip. And a gentle approach would be to hold the leg at the knee or like the knee shin area and support your leg as it wiggles around in your hip. And another more open option is to just let your leg move around freely on its own without the hand or the arm supporting it in any way. There's any sticky spots or interesting places along the way, maybe you stop and pause and hang out, or add a little bit more of a dynamic motion to it, like give a squeeze to a muscle or press against your palm with your knee or your leg. And when you're ready, you're going to switch and take this to your second side. So leg goes long, the other knee works its way up towards you. And then again, you can always start a little bit more mindfully supporting your leg with your hand or going right for the free movement. You can also keep that bent knee and foot planted or let it go long. That could change this movement for you. And maybe catch some differences from left to right as you've been moving around. Notice if you need to stop in one spot or the other on one side and you didn't on the other. And then we're going to combine a little of the two movements we just did. So a little bit for the hips and a little bit for the twist. So plant both feet back onto the mat, knees bent. And you're going to take the right ankle and place it on the left knee. So it's like a little open cross of your leg. Yep, perfect. And then you're going to let that windshield wiper action kind of happen again. So you're going to let the knees rock a little side to side. You can start real gentle, just a little movement left and right. You can work that foot that's planted onto the mat a little bit closer to your bum or further away. And your arms can support you on the mat, on the floor, however they need to. When you're ready to fully drop into your twist, that right foot is going to fall over and plant onto the mat. Yep, perfect. And if it doesn't get down to the floor, you can always adjust any of the angles of your hips or legs or knees, or just fall over a little bit to the side, not fully into a twist. And when you're ready to work your way back up to your center, you'll eventually uncross the legs and you'll take it to the second side. You'll find your little figure four lace up, and then you'll take some rocks, a little gentle side to sides, saying hello to your other hip, maybe toying with where your foot is placed on the mat, further closer to your bottom. And then falling down into that same twist where that foot gets to plant down onto the floor and enjoy. You'll bring that twist back to your center. You can unlace or unwind or unstack, however you think of it. And then spend another moment or two wiggling around on your back before rolling up to a seat. So, any other things that come to mind if you want to do the knee hugging, you want to take a little bridge where you push the hips up to the sky. Want to just lay there for a moment, absorb some sensations. That's cool too. But we all get to a seat sooner or later. Nice. And we're gonna cradle our leg like it's a little baby. So you'll just bring it into your arms. You can wrap your arm around the outside or grab the foot or grab the ankle, however it feels stable to hold on to your first leg. It could be your right or your left. And then the other leg can either be kickstand, knee bent, or it can be long legged, however it feels comfortable and safe to kind of wiggle around. And then you're just going to rock your little baby. You're going to rock your little leg. Mm. Anything along the way is like, maybe I should hang out in this little nook that I'm feeling this interesting little spot in my hip. You can always pause or you can just kind of go for the baby whiplash if you want to take that speed. Nice. You're going to plant that foot, whichever one it is, left or right. You're going to plant it on the inside of your knee. Yep, perfect. So that your foot and knee stays bent. Yep, looks good. And you're going to take a twist towards your leg, and you might even take your opposite arm and kind of hold onto the leg for a little bit more leverage. So you'll twist towards your bent knee. Another option is to take that foot, instead of it being on the inside of the knee, on the outside. Gets you a deeper cross with the foot, but maybe you just start with the foot on the inside. When you're ready to unwind, find your breath for a moment, come back to your center. And then you can get your baby cradle on with your second hip. So cradle that opposite leg using your arms and hands to support foot, ankle, shin, thigh, any of those places. Spend a minute noticing second side, if it's feeling a little bit more looser now or different from the other hip. One option to either put that foot on the mat on the inside of that knee, or if you want the deeper cross, it can go on the outside. Yep. And then you'll turn towards that knee. You can cradle it with the arm. Yes. Nice. Lovely twists. And then you'll unwind, you'll bring it back to center. And kind of similarly to what we did with the windshield wipers on our back, we're going to do it in a seat. So you're going to lean back and put your palms behind you as like kickstands. And that way you have more room to let your knees like really windshield wiper left and right, side to side. Yeah. And then you can even toy more with like how wide apart your feet are so that when they fall, they kind of fall in little like cookie cutter way, puzzle way to each other. You can bring the feet closer. You can stay hanging out on one side or the other. And then the next time that your feet, or your, excuse me, your knees fall off towards the right, you're going to let them rest on the mat, and then you're going to shift a little towards that right side too. So this one is a little funky one. So kind of like this. side, and then, yeah. And then you'll turn towards that front knee, and then you'll take a little bend and rock forward over that front thigh. And you can stay with the fold and really enjoy that stretch for the hip, or you can come up and out. You can bob in and out of it, stay however long you'd like on one side or the other. This is similar to pigeon pose. I like it. It's a little bit more gentle. Pigeon pose is all in well, but sometimes you just need a little bit of this instead of deeper. And then if you're not in a forward fold with your legs aside, then come back down for a moment. And then when you come out of your forward fold, try to feel a little light in the palms. Press into the ground with the outside of that foot from the knee, the shin, the ankle. Use the leg to kind of push just a little bit versus your hands to come upright. Yeah. Some of you are like, I'm not even using my hands for support. It's fine either way. And then you'll get your kickstand hands behind you. You get to go kind of wild with the knees again, a little reset in between. And then when you're ready, you'll take them off to your second side. And then you'll turn towards that front leg and then decide, do I want to bob up and down for a little stretch? Do I want to fold onto this leg a little bit? What angle do I need my front leg, my back leg for this to feel like it's doing some work for me? It could be easy work, soft work. It could be a tough, challenging stretch somewhere. Nice. And if you're bobbing in and out of your stretch here, go ahead and take your forward fold down. Most of you are already there in a forward fold over your leg. And then you're going to try to come up that same way where you're pushing the outer edge of your foot, your shin, your thigh into the floor to give you a little bit of support upright. Yes, nice. And then if you want to come back to center for a moment, take a little twisty twisty again, kind of a reset on the other end. That might feel nice. And then we're going to come into tabletop and give a little wiggle here. So shift forward, shift back. Um, sense your hips a little bit. We've done quite a bit of like low back twisty and hip work, trying to get the motions in a lot of directions there. So just enjoy whatever movements you need for the other parts of your body here, like maybe spine, cat and cows, shifting back like a child's pose, getting a stretch for your shoulders. Any wiggling you do in this tabletop pose, you're doing it right. If you lose a little track of your breath for a moment, maybe you tap back into it. Remind yourself that that inner flowing current is one of the most useful tools that you can have, and it's pretty much automatic, does it on its own. You're going to come back upright in your tabletop position. And then we're going to take our final little stretch here for our hips. So you're going to bring your left foot forward into a low lunge. You might come upright first and then bring the leg forward, or you might just bring the leg forward on hands and knees, up to you. And then you decide what you need for your hips on this second side, because I've told you a lot of things for your hips already, right? I'm giving you lots of cues, do this, do this, do this. If you want to be upright in a lunge and then shift forward and back, that might be where your hips are at today. Maybe you need a little bit more stretch for the front of your hip. Maybe you're really enjoying more of that outer hip work. You can fold a little bit more down um, into like a forward fold next to your leg. Make it a deep lunge. If you need something for the hamstrings, shift back. Bottom to heel, yeah. You can always add a twist. Find a way to do that. I won't tell you how. Maybe you just figure it out. And if this is your hip side that needs a little bit more love, usually, then maybe you stay with this side a little longer. Maybe you add a couple more moves. But if it feels like a good time to switch, like you're ready to go on to your second side, then you can stay upright and find your switch. You can go back to that tabletop and then bring your other leg under you. And then honor what the second side needs, because it's probably not what the first side needed exactly. You might need more front hip stretch, more side hip stretch, or maybe you're upright for this side instead of being folded downward. And perhaps you're moving and flowing a little bit with your one movement, one breath action. I like how most of you are getting in a little mobility work for your ankles too, and for your feet and toes. And if you're ready to let this second side go, then you can bring yourself back to your tabletop and maybe child's pose it, or lay down flat on your belly and bring one cheek to a palm or the other. You can add a down dog in here. These are some of our final movement moments. So if there's something or other you need, just start plugging it in there. I didn't do too much for shoulders and neck and all that today, so you're welcome to consider putting some of those motions in. We have just about another minute or so here before we really start winding down even further. So you might start considering what position you want to end your practice in. If there are props you enjoy having with you or underneath you. Perhaps it's a blanket or something rolled up under the knees. You don't have to be laying down for your rest either. You're welcome to be seated. You might even stand for a moment or two in your final minute here. Starting to either work your way down to your final rest or continuing to move along. These last moments are yours. Some of you have more time to give to your practice and you're not ready to rest. That's fine. But whenever you do find your rest, come back to those breaths, come back to those nourishing inhales and exhales. Find something that you're grateful for. Notice something that challenges you and welcome the challenge or just sit with it and just know you'll get through it. And I wish you all a wonderful rest of your evening with your pets, your family. I see all there with you. And I encourage you to lay as long as you're able to. Mm. Thanks for joining me this evening. Namaste.